Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm gonna let you in on the secret to learn any language. I get a lot of questions asking me what resources I use, what platform, what apps. Number one, I'm gonna tell you that no app will bring you to fluency. Of course, there are many apps that help you to advance in your language learning or to even start your language learning journey, but no app will actually get you to fluency. That's on you. Same goes for language schools. Language schools will not get you to fluency. Of course, they act as a resource, but you are ultimately the one who is going to get yourself fluent. There are a couple of methods and things to do so. When people ask me what resources or apps I use for my language learning, to the surprise, I always tell them like I barely used any resources. So you're gonna ask, okay, how did you then do it to learn all these languages? Well, the first thing I did, for example, with Portuguese that I taught myself was go and look for random apps where I could get Portuguese native speakers such as Brazilians and interact with them. We would Skype, we would do language exchanges, and with those language exchanges, I learned so much. Like we would do, for example, half an hour German and half an hour Portuguese, half an hour French, half an hour Portuguese, and I did that with multiple people for several months, and that's really what got me confident in actually speaking Portuguese. I was always confident, to be honest, because I never really had the fear of speaking, but that's really what made me learn so much more by interacting with native speakers. And that's one of the first things I did because I knew I needed to talk to people immediately, not wait until I got to a certain level with my grammar and then start talking how many people do it. No, I needed from day one to interact with native speakers, and that's what I did. So I went out and looked for them. So that's one thing I did. So number two is I consumed so much Brazilian media to get that cultural input, to get anything that was Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese in this case. I look for music on Spotify. At the time, there was no Netflix, so you guys have it easy now. I went on so many streaming websites to look for telenovelas, to look for Brazilian telenovelas, to look for series and movies, so many things. I was obsessed consuming everything in Portuguese. And that's how it needs to be, because I wasn't in Brazil where the language is spoken, where I would hear it 24/7. So I had to immerse myself into the language. And how did I do that? By doing all of these things. So that brings me to point number three. Cultural immersion. I was advocate cultural immersion. That's what I did because before even going to Brazil, I had learned Portuguese for like 5 to 6 years, and I was already almost near fluent before even ever going there. And I got to this point because of my efforts to immerse myself into the Brazilian Portuguese culture as much as I could, even with not living there. So a lot of people think you actually have to travel there first or you have to live there first to immerse yourself, but no, you can immerse yourself by so many different ways, just like I did it, within your own country or space, however it's possible. So you could look for local activities in your target language. You could try to join local communities with the people who speak your target languages. Or like I did, I joined communities where there were lots of Brazilians. So I met so many Brazilians that I befriended. Anytime I would meet a Brazilian, I would make friends with them. I would like be really like besties, like so close with them. And I really got into that community. I pushed myself into being surrounded by many Brazilian Portuguese native speakers because I knew that I wanted to learn it so much. And by being with them, by always being surrounded and being in their community and making more friends, I learned so much, just like by interacting with them as much as I could. And that was not just once a week, but I would do this along with the language exchanges, and all of these things ultimately got me to fluency even before ever having traveled to Brazil. So these are the three methods I use. And at the time when I used to do all of these things, there was not one platform I could do all of these things. So I always wanted to create a community with you guys where I could just log in and we'd have multiple people from all over the world, because I am blessed enough that my audience is literally from everywhere. I have a lot of Brazilian English speaking, a lot of Spanish speaking audiences. So I'm like, okay, why not all come together into a community where you can learn languages with me, you can learn languages also with each other, you can do language exchanges, have travel Q&As. So many of my TikTok videos and Instagram content is travel related, because I travel a lot to Brazil, to Colombia, and a lot of people actually also want to travel there, or have been there, or have questions, or a lot of people are even from there. So anytime you want to, for example, travel to Rio and you have questions, you could just log in, just ask your question in a travel Q&A space, and just log in literally and ask people. I'm sure there's so many people from there and they could directly answer you, and so many more features. So make sure to join the Lingua Link community. All the details are down in my description box. I hope all these tips helped you guys, and I see you in my next video.